Hey guys, it's SJ. How are you? I am a mum of 3 if you're brand new to my channel, and I thought I would do today a bit of a different video. It is kind of a brutally honest mum tag, so lots of different situations. What would I do in those situations? Because I think it's just good to have a little chat about parenting in a bit of a different way, and you can join in the chatty bit below. So what I've done is taken this trend from more TikTok and Instagram, where it's a POV trend. So have you seen it? So POV is basically point of view. So it's like point of view, and then it puts you in a situation like you're late for school and your teacher's mad, and then they sort of show what they would do in those situations, but they're often quite young, as you can tell from that one. Not a situation I've been in, well, pretty much have. Got pretty late for school quite often. But these are all mum dilemmas that are pretty tough. So what I'm going to do is, there's 12 dilemmas. I'll pop all of them in the description box below. But to make it a bit more fun, a bit more jeopardy, I'm going to roll the dice and I'm going to answer 5 of the questions below, depending where my dice lands. So I hope it will be a fun tag, because then all the questions are always different, and obviously all the answers will be different from different mums taking part. Then you can also roll your dice and answer one of the questions in the description bit below. So if you don't know, I sort of pretty much do gentle parenting, which means I don't do punishment or rewards in the house, and my parenting style might be a little different, but let's see my brutally honest answers to these. So I'm gonna roll my dice. Oh, that was good. 5, 6, 7. Number 7, your child's friend isn't being nice to them. So when a friend's not being nice to a child is so difficult, and I've had this chat with friends at the playground before, and it starts from really, really young. And I think when they're really little, it's a fine line between, is this really somebody who's targeting my child or really putting them down, if it's affecting their mood or they're worried about school because of another child's behaviour, it is a problem, no matter how innocent it might be. But that's something you can really nip in the bud and talk to the teacher about, and then also explain to your child, what makes you feel good at school, what makes you feel happy after that incident is a really good question to ask, which I found such a top tip. So when my daughter would be upset, oh, so-and-so didn't want to play with me in the playground, rather than obviously talk about how that felt, but then also go, and what made you feel happy afterwards? And she'd say, oh, well, I went and did the dress up. One time my daughter Evelyn told me, she said she did a puppet show and no one was watching, and I was heartbroken. I went to storm in there and tell her little bestie who'd left her out, excuse me, that was a really good puppet show and your loss. But yeah, you just have to sort of say to them, wow, it's great playing by yourself, it's such a good quality to have, I love my alone time, and really enforce in them their own self-esteem comes from within almost. But then when it's older kids, I've had the same thing when I've had kids over whispering, because Freddie's at home, and they say stuff and you're like, you're not even being nice, and even sometimes they're lying and saying stuff, you're like, that's not true. Or there's a lot of, I'm having this, I'm doing this, this and this, and you're not invited. It's like, why even say that? Like, why even put that on somebody who's supposed to be a friend? But it is just a little bit of a, alpha friendship thing. And I was exactly the same when I was a kid. Disaster. I always had my really rich cousin who went to a different school, who no one knew, who I was doing really cool stuff with. Like, I was a real nightmare like that. And my friends now, we just laugh about it, because they were like, we knew you were talking total crap. So I think it's just a case of keeping their friends close, having the play dates, having an open house at home, overhearing, but trying not to interfere in the time. Never tell your own child off in front of their kids, or vice versa. Let them come to the realisation themselves and just be there to support them when they do. And I think that's happened in our friendship. That was a bit difficult. After a while, they sort of distanced themselves from that friendship and said, you know what, I don't think I'm getting out as much as I'm putting in. Not in those words, but it was like, actually, I've had that person here lots of times, I've never been to their house. Maybe I'll stop and invite somebody else who's sort of a bit more two-way, and they do come to that themselves. And this is why I'm only doing that. I talk so much. Oh gosh, 12. You feel burnt out and are not enjoying parenting. Yeah, I've had that a lot lately. I think that all of us after the pandemic have as well. And my real top tip for this is take a break off parenting. Literally take a break off. And how I do that is literally just pretend that I'm not mum for a while. Just go out and have some fun, and just think I'm, just part of the gang. It's not all on my shoulders all the time to be like, do this, do that, don't do that. And just literally we'll just go out for a day, National Trust or something, and I'll just walk around, do what I love doing, which is like take pictures. Take pictures of my children, who I don't want to be with, no. Just take it down a notch and realise that I'm not always having to be the one who's like hovering over, making sure everything is safe and okay, and just put myself in the mix. And you really can do that mental shift a little bit. I find I can do that really easily, too easily. Just be like laid back, you know, bedtimes, let them go a little bit, don't stress yourself out. That's how I literally do it. It's just a case of changing my mental shift too. When I find that I'm burnt out, it's when I've been really like battling, pushing myself to be the great, best, putting myself down or something like that, or just not wanting to play as much because I'm distracted. I've got something that I'm worried about going on in my life, and it's about going, doesn't matter. Enjoy your own walk, enjoy your own time, and find that peace inside your head, and just enjoy their company, and don't worry so much about the mum part. That makes sense? 6, 7, what is that? Is that a 10? Your child gets told off by another parent in the park. I think this is a really hard one, and that's why I put it on here, because I think that telling off other people's kids or your own child being told off by someone else is really the most awkward thing that can happen, especially if, like, imagine a play date or something like that, and then they come back and they've been told off and they're upset. Like, I don't even like it when their grandparents tell them off. It really irritates me, because I've got such a different style of parenting, but I am okay with that. I am like, you know, they have different relationships with different people. I think if another parent tells your child off, it's best to just talk to your child and say, you know, if they're upset, and just say kind of like, oh, that mummy had a really strong feeling then because they thought you'd thrown sand in their child's face. Or what's difficult is when you see them sort of dragging the child over. The child stood there feeling really shocked and upset that another grown-up has told them off. Really frightening experience. We can probably all remember it from childhood. And then the mum's just like, what did they do? I'll take them straight home, like sort of shaming them again. I think they've been really ashamed. So it's a case of kind of going, you know, that mum's really cross because it looked like you threw sand on her child's face. Well, that's my example. Because like a sandpit is the hotbed of all the action, parenting, yelling. I think we need to come out of the sandpit now and maybe say sorry, apologise, because even though if you might not have meant to, throwing sand can be really dangerous, and sort of try to talk to your child to show the other parent that you're taking it seriously. Worst thing is two parents facing off, and if it's really, really upset me in the past when my kids have been told off by someone else because I feel like they've been too harsh, then just sort of go, because if I'm upset then I'm going to be making my child more upset, and talk to your child separately. And I really hate kids getting yelled at in front of other kids, because I think it's really by adults, because it's such a power play and it's so shaming them, and most of the time you just see the behaviour get worse or repeat it because they're like defiant. They're like, F you, I'm going to continue this because you just made me feel this big, and so I'm just going to butt back at you because I'm angry with you, basically. So yeah, I think that's what I would do. It's dinner time in your house. What are your rules? This is quite an easy one. So rules in my house for dinner time. We always have dinner. We normally have breakfast at our breakfast bar in our kitchen, and then we have dinner at the dining table. And our rules are really, really simple. No screens most of the time, although we do have watching dinners if it's just been one of those days. You know, we're all tired, or if we've been at a club or something like that and everyone's just like beyond chat. But our dinner time's normally quite short. I normally do family serve, so I put all the meals, all the food in the middle, and then let them help themselves. And I found that's really been better in terms of them being able to eat more or less and control their portions, because I used to put it all on the plates and give it to them. And then we had more struggles about eat what's on your plate, whatever. So that's worked really well. And then the only real rule we have is wait to put all your food in your plate before you start eating. And then, so they're not just like, they just always do that. And then the only other rule is to stay at the table till everyone's finished eating, because I've got 3 kids. And Evelina, my 5-year-old, is such a good eater, but she'll take her time, but she'll eat so much, and she'll often go back for like more. She's always been like that since a tiny baby. She used to finish the boys' leftovers. And actually Finn will eat really fast, but then he'll be waiting, and then he'll normally have a bit more because he's waiting. So that's kind of the only rule we do, and then they just take their plates out, put them in the sink. We have really nice dinner times. It's actually a part of the day that I super look forward to with the kids, because it's when we really sit down and reconnect and chat. And normally when I'm cooking I listen to a podcast, so I have a little bit of my own time. So I'm quite chill by the time it gets to dinner. Right, last question. 4, 5, 6. Oh, you and your partner have a row in front of the kids. How do you handle it? We do have rows in front of the kids. We don't have many rows, but it would always be me. I can be quite flip, you know, I can sort of get cross really fast, then I cool down really fast. And obviously in lockdown, with us all being in the house, it's happened more. So to be honest, I don't think I do deal with it. But I do try to make an effort to tell the children when we're doing nice things. So it'll be like, we're having a date night tonight, Daddy's making Mummy a nice dinner, we're going to light the candles, so they sort of know that we're having these sort of nicer times together as well, and sort of explain. And then sometimes we'll say it's grown-up time, because having an 11-year-old, nightmare. They stay up until like 9, and that's like my bedtime. So sometimes we want to watch something that's just for the two of us. Like there's 2 grown up for kids, and that sounds like it's really rude, like a crime. Then I'll say, no, it's grown up time, Mummy, Daddy want to spend some time together and watch TV together. So they sort of, I reinforce the relationship. What we should do if it was a big row is say sorry in front of them and model the apology. You know, Mummy was having a really big feeling. I was really angry because I felt I wasn't being listened to, and so I slammed the door and shouted, and that wasn't the best reaction, but I'm calmed down now and we've talked it through, and actually we decided on this. But we're not particularly, Henrik would never row in front of the children, he's much more disciplined than me, but yeah, that's how I would sort of do it. Point of view, we're all entitled to have our own. I would love some other YouTubers to do this. Who would you like to see tagged? I did talk to my friend Emily Norris about maybe doing this tag, but that was a while ago. But yeah, Emily said she was up for doing it. I would love to see Milena Cinciotti do it, because I love her so much and I'm so obsessed with her parenting style as well. It's kind of very similar to mine, so that would be fun if she would do it. But yeah, send it to any Mummy YouTubers you'd like to see do it as well. And I'll see you on my next video. Hit subscribe if you're interested in the gentle parenting side of stuff, or any questions you have on that, pop them below and I would do a little gentle parenting Q&A maybe. Bye guys.